So I picked up yet another grinder, the fellow ODE, which is my lowest end grinder I've had in a while. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised so far. Just haven't used it for actual drinking coffee. I just put a few grams of coffee through it to test things out. The sound is supposedly has SSP multi-purpose Burrs in there. I haven't opened it up to verify, but I think the guy was honest that I got it from. He seemed nice. Yeah, but I was gonna say it doesn't sound as high pitched and shrill as it normally does with those burrs. So it's either a quieter grinder or lower RPM maybe. I don't know what the specs are. So it comes with this lid, but also got a little bonus, which is not necessary. This didn't come with it. This is actually from the DF83, but I figured why not use it instead of the black metal, even though I like the black metal one too. Yeah, there's some, I'm impressed with this. There's some innovative features. So it has this knocker, which, I mean, for pour over setting, like over here, at like around 6. From my testing so far, haven't noticed any retention with the, like, the knocker doesn't get much out, and the bellows also not necessary, doesn't get anything out, because there's like no retention. When I was grinding initially, I was grinding at like 1 and 2 just to test out, and I was getting some retention, but like I think the knocker got it all out, and it was like 0.3 grams, which was like nothing. Yeah, the Zerno for like finer grind, I was getting like 3 grams in the shoot. So yeah, knocking out that 0.3 if you forget about it isn't a big deal, versus you got to knock out that last 3 grams. So yeah, I don't know if it really popcorns if I didn't have the lid on. I think I saw a video where it does. Haven't tried that yet, but I kind of like this whole thing because it's easy to just, you know, you can do the same thing where you kind of just slide it. I think that's how you're supposed to use the original thing. Slide it, fill it up, and I don't think this one's designed. The one downside is it's not designed for hot loading where you start the grinder. I think you could do it. I haven't tried, but I noticed here's the go button. I'll try and maybe I'm used to the Zerno where you flick the switch on the side. This one has a switch on the side. This one has a switch on the side. So I'm like trying to activate the grinder by that instead of this down low. Just a little workflow difference compared to my other grinders, but yeah, there's some innovative. I like there's some innovative features on this thing, which surprised me. So like this has like a kind of rubbery, soft plastic gasket, and there's not much space between the cup. Oh, and it's magnetic, and I kind of like how it really like locks into place and it slides smoothly until you find the spot. So there's no guessing, is it in position? The Zerno has like a pad on the bottom, which is nice because you're not going to scratch up the bottom there. But I don't know, the magnet doesn't quite have the same effect. Like it could be a little off like that. Like it doesn't snap into place as violently. So I kind of like that. Yeah, and the result, I mean, it's because it slides more, but I think I did notice there's a little bit, there was some marks there. Maybe I wiped them off. I can't see them right now in this light. Can you see them? I thought I saw some scratch marks from like, you know, moving this thing in and out. Not a big deal, I don't care. Still looks pretty good. I think in the car this flopped around. I got like a dent on there. So it's not perfect. But this is also cool in the cup, which makes it harder to clean out, but like the little fragments. But I thought this was a neat feature. So when you're pouring the coffee out, it kind of guides it so it pours out in a nice stream. That's nice, and like just a little nice addition. I don't know what that is. It's like less coffee, more coffee. Yeah, thanks for the indication. My cup is full. Maybe it's like the max capacity, like they don't want you to fill it up higher than that. I don't know. The only annoyance thing is like if you're every time you're pouring it, you have to get this gasket in and out. So that's like an extra workflow step that's not fun. I wonder if it would work okay without using that. There's a little bit of a gap, but I haven't noticed like any coffee or chaff or anything escaping yet. But I haven't ground a full dose. I was just grinding like 3 grams at a time for testing, and to match the the other grinders' grind sizes. So what I'm going to do today is cup with a coffee on the P64 with the same Burrs multi-purpose and compare with the ODE, and I tried to match the grind size, so we'll see how they compare, if there's any major differences or slight differences. Hopefully I can tell. But ideally, I mean, they should be the same, and that means, I mean, this one's a lot cheaper than going for something like a P64 or the Zerno. So it's like they all can use the same Burrs. So is there an advantage besides these being espresso capable? And maybe I don't know. Is the workflow? The workflow is not bad on this. I mean, the only issue is having to take this out every time to pour out coffee. I'm gonna try pouring it without removing this. And then, yeah. Look, I don't think I have to use the knocker. I don't have to use a bellows. It doesn't seem to have retention or static. This is the version 1, but let's see how it works when I actually grind. So the reason I'm saying it doesn't work with hot loading is because it actually has a feature that detects when the grinding is done, when there's no resistance on the burrs, and then it turns itself off, which is nice because you just push it once and forget about it. So I got 12 grams of coffee in there, and you can get an idea of how it sounds with the SSP multi-purpose burrs in there, supposedly, allegedly. And you know what, let's demonstrate. Oh, it does say not to weigh the cup. The magnet on here isn't quite as strong as the Zerno cup magnet, but yeah, I don't think it's going to ruin the scale. I won't do it too often, but let's do it for this test. Went a little longer than usual. I was like, oh, and look, we have some chaff. That possibly, there's some of it escaped. All right, not too bad. Maybe I didn't have the lid on right. So we got 11.77 out. Let's see if I run it again, because maybe it had a bean fragment that sounded like it was stuck at the end. So that's, hear how it kind of spins up and then spins down. That's the thing trying to like figure out what's going on, because it expected there to be a load and grind 12 grams or whatever. So yeah, what was it before? I don't know how accurate this is to the point 0.03, but it should be accurate to like 11.8 is accurate, but I don't know about the 0.3, especially with the magnet throwing things off. But that's the knocker. So yeah, we got what? That's like, it was at 0.93 before. 9.2 or something. Yeah, 9.3. So it's the same, right? Using the bellows. Did I just see chaff escape the top? Okay, the bellows actually worked to get 0.1 of a gram or so. Yeah, see, it's kind of all over the place. I don't know, the magnet might be throwing off the scale a little bit. So yeah, the bellows helped a tiny bit, but I don't think that small amount is really worth it. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I like having this because you can just lift up the whole thing, or you can slide it over. I noticed, I thought this is the same bellows as on the DF83, DF64, but it's actually harder to remove the lid. So I kind of like that because now I can just do it like that, and the lid isn't gonna accidentally flop off like, you know, sometimes it's, well, this isn't the stock one. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to, like, the lid's a little fiddly, especially with the heavy metal one that the DF83 and, or no, the DF64s came with. They're kind of loose fitting and you gotta fit them in right, otherwise they could flop out. I don't know, it was just a little fiddly to like get it in and out. And it was like a good heavy weight lid to it. This one's a little lighter probably, but it stays locked in, where the DF83 and DF64 lid kind of sits a little looser. Yeah, this one has like a little ledge that kind of grips onto the thing. So that's one difference, even though it looks pretty similar externally. Yeah, so far I like it. Now let's grind on the P64. Not sure what the RPM on the ODE is. I should have looked that up. But I'm going to run this on setting of 6, which is I think like 900 RPM. No, like 1,000, something like that. And I'm going to hot start because I can on this one. And this is 11.99 grams. And we're going to load slow. You know what, the Burrs don't sound that bad in the P64 either, actually. Alright, so I'm not tapping, I'm not going to knock anything out. I'm just going to see how much we got. Oh, look at that. Pretty much right on. If I give it a tap, I'm going to run it again. I'm going to tap on top, give it a little... See if we get anything else out, which would be retention from like a previous coffee. So yeah, not much, or probably nothing. Yeah, maybe 0.1 gram. So not bad. They both did good. I mean, the P64 did better with its, you know, the amount out, but yeah, I wouldn't say the ODE, like, the differences are negligible. Yeah, so now let's see how they taste. What's the deal with this number system? What is this? 6.33, 6.66, and then 7? I don't understand. Oh, so yeah. What's the deal with this noise? So it spins up, spins down. Sounds like something's wobbling around, but let's try it again. Sounds like there's a loose burr in there, but with coffee it sounds better. Alright, so with beans in it. I like how it beeps like a microwave. It's done! Coffee's ready! This is pretty weird. Check out these burrs. So this one has like smaller outer diameter, and the other one has teeth that kind of go over it. So I've never seen a burr like this. I thought it was defective or something. It's got like popping out like shark teeth on the very edge of the burr. I've never seen that before. So yeah, it's kind of like spiky on the very edge. It's sharp. It's like a knife. Yeah, never seen that before. Not on the this is the rotating burr. So not on the stationary burr. It just looks like a normal burr ledge to me. So besides that inner kind of like indented ledge that lets the teeth kind of go over it, it doesn't seem like the burrs could really grind each other. maybe those teeth work detrimentally for grinding super fine. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know, do I want to try them? I'm curious. I have the SSP multi-purpose burrs in the ODE. And yeah, they're good. I also have the same burrs except blind for the Zerno, and I currently have the same burrs in the P64. So yeah, I did compare the P64 and Zerno earlier. Now I'm going to try and compare the ODE with the P64. I think they're basically similar. The ODE and the, like, these kind of are more similar to each other because they both have an auger system and no variable RPM, which makes it simpler to compare. So I don't have to worry about matching the RPM. Yeah, the steps on this are bigger. Like, what's with the number system? I'm gonna call this 6.66. The Devil's Grind. Because this must be 6.3333, 6.6666, and then 7. Makes sense if it's in thirds. Yeah, so I also want to compare, yeah, I think I'm going to change the burrs in the P64 to the old stock burr the old stock burrs from that, and compare it with the Microns burrs, which are now in the Zerno. I think they're basically the same. I think the auger might cause more fines in both of these. Like, if you have the same burrs, you should get the same results. RPM does make a difference, but I think the auger pre-breaker kind of works to add more fines and give it a little bit more of like a lingering aftertaste, which is lacking usually on the SSP multi-purpose burrs. So it's kind of a good addition. Maybe adds a little more complexity, a little smoother, but a little, I don't know if I noticed like a lack of clarity difference, but I suspect it's a little less clear. But I didn't notice too much of a difference. Like, it's good. So I think the SSP multi-purpose burrs, they do work well in grinders like this with the pre-breaker or feeder. Actually, I'm not even sure if this has a pre-breaker or if it's just like an auger that feeds the coffee in, but and maybe I only tried one cupping so far, and I thought they were basically the same, except I think I got with this one, maybe it was a little finer. I noticed a little more lingering aftertaste, and a little more complexity, maybe like stronger flavor versus the P64. So since then, I've adjusted it a little finer, and maybe I'll try another cupping and see. But yeah, I mean, I'm liking the workflow is pretty decent. The cleanliness is not perfect, but it's pretty good so far. Yeah, I'm liking it for the price. It's a great value. The ODE version 1 used with SSP multi-purpose burrs and an added-on bellows, which doesn't come with it and probably isn't necessary. So I was amazed there was like no retention on this, but on the ODE. But yeah, I was seeing a little bit when I put it on setting number 1, as fine as it will go, which is almost fine enough for espresso. What I did is I did have a little 15-gram basket, I think, for the Euro Piccola. So I loaded that up with, usually I do 15 or 16 grams, and I put in 17 with a puck screen, and it managed to just fit. And I got a decent flow rate, so it's possible to do espresso with the SSP multi-purpose burrs. Seemed to work pretty good. I was using an older coffee too, so if I used a fresh coffee, then it probably would have worked even better. Yeah, and it turned out. Oh yeah, so I did notice a little bit of retention where the bellows did come in handy when I was at like setting of 1. I think there was like 0.6 of a gram or half a gram, something like that. So a good amount. I think the knocker got some out, but there's still some missing, and the bellows helped knock that out. So I think the previous owner might have been using it for espresso, and that's probably where the that came in handy, the bellows. But yeah, for most purposes, it's supposed to be used for pour over and filter coffee. And at like a regular, course-ish, not even that course, but like at 6 or 7, that's what it kind of matches what I was doing for the pour overs on the P64 and the Zerno. Zerno is set to like just over 500 microns. The P64 is set to like 6-ish. 6 setting of 6, which is like, I guess, 600 microns, but I don't know if it's accurate. One of them is not accurate, the Zerno or the P64, I don't know. But also on the P64 you have variable RPM, so like the micron, the grind size kind of adjusts based on the RPM as well. Higher seems to give you more fines, or it just makes the grounds look smaller. Lower RPM makes the grounds look larger. So it's noticeable when you're doing pour over setting. With espresso, I don't know if you can tell the difference from like low RPM to high RPM, because it's just like, fine or very fine. So yeah, getting a little sidetracked. So yeah, the other thing I noticed, I'll try and see if there's, I think I cleaned it off actually, but there was a little bit of static, like chaff seems to escape probably from the top when I remove the cup. Yeah, so if you look, there's a little bit of a gap where chaff can escape between the dosing cup and the exit chute. And I notice when I pull it out, sometimes there's chaff like settling up here, maybe some fines. And then I think, let's see if I can get under there. There we go. So you can see, maybe you can see, there is a little bit of coffee stuck to there. Here, I'll give it a rub and see if it comes off. Thought I saw coffee. Not much. Okay. I did try and vacuum, but I don't think my vacuum actually hit that part up there. Yeah. So not too much, but I thought I saw some earlier. Like maybe it dissipated and fell back in here because that doesn't look clean. I can't remember if I wiped that off or not. Yeah, I'll probably clean it off for tomorrow. But yeah, otherwise it's a pretty neat grinder. I like it. I was noticing so far, I'm noticing a little bit of a difference. I didn't notice it with cupping, but like I did pour overs. And actually I did notice it with cupping a little too. But the difference was more subtle, and I thought it was just because this one was potentially grinding finer. So I was comparing with the P64 with the same burrs. Also I was comparing at lower RPM because I thought that, I wasn't sure what the RPM is on this, but it's actually 1400, which means the P64 to match it would have to be at full RPM. So I did that today, and yeah, so I noticed it has a little more, it seems like it has more fines. I don't know if it's because there's an auger, or just the alignment isn't as good, or the RPM isn't as steady, or it's faster than it's marketed. I don't know, but yeah, a little less clarity maybe, and a little more like, a little more bitterness, a little, I am actually noticing, I noticed a little stronger coffee flavor, so it's not as like smooth and tea-like as it was on the P64. It was a little stronger, like a little over extracted. But you know what, I was also getting that on the P64, like they both stalled a little towards the end of the pour over. So
Maybe it's just that coffee or my brewing technique, but both of them didn't turn out like as amazing as I hoped. But this one was a little stronger and more intense, which actually works better with a milk drink. But if you're drinking it straight, I didn't enjoy it as much. But when I added milk, it actually went better with milk. So yeah, pros and cons, but it wasn't that much of a difference. Like it's a you probably would be happy with either of them, especially the price difference between the P64 and the ODE if you're just doing pour overs. But yeah, it's not ideal for espresso. I think you can actually make this stepless. There's pretty big jumps though, and the tick marks are like let's say you wanted to go in between them. It's like I guess you can. Just remember you're at like 6.8. I don't know if it was like right there. And I think you can readjust the 0 point. I haven't messed around with it. So like right now, if I'm at 1, the burrs aren't touching. I'm not hearing a tick or anything. So that means I can go finer. It's just calibrated so I can't go much finer. And I was able to like just pull an espresso shot with overdosing my basket. So ideally, if I was going to do espresso, then I'd adjust that so I can go finer. But then the jumps might be too big unless I also do it so it's stepless. But yeah, they don't recommend it. They say it's like, you know, it'll avoid the warranty, and it's probably gonna kill the motor prematurely. But I've heard people that use the ODE for espresso, and they've used it for like a year or two, and they said it's fine. And for the price, it's like some people might just be like, all right, if the motor dies, I'll either repair it or just get another one. But I like the idea of repairing, not just throwing it out and getting a new one, because that's wasteful. And I'm sure you can get a replacement motor and pop it in, hopefully. Not sure how easy that job would be, how accessible it is. I know on the Zerno, they were saying they made the motor accessible because it's a brushed DC motor. So eventually, I think the brushes are supposed to wear out. Like, it might be 10, 20 years down the line. I don't know how long those take to wear out for like something that's on just momentarily. But I think this one also has a brushed DC motor, which, you know, for the price point you'd expect. Like, it's not going to be a brushless DC motor like the P64. The advantage is it's, you know, less friction, lower maintenance, and less likelihood of dying, and it's also quieter. And I think someone said it was more powerful, the brushless, but I don't know. I think just DC is more powerful. I don't know if brushed or brushless makes a difference. Yeah. What else? Nothing. Nothing else. Oh, the thing I discovered, you can actually do hot start. So it's not a big deal. You just, you know, it sounds funny when you first press, when you power it up and there's no coffee in it. It kind of slows down and then spins back up. So if I wanted, what I did earlier is I just added the coffee at this point, and oh, the popcorning, like it didn't even popcorn. I kept it off, threw in some coffee, no problem. And then it did its auto stop thing. So it works fine if you just throw in the coffee while it's already on, hot loading. Might be less stress on the motor, and theoretically you get more consistent grind size that way. So it's good to do, and you can do it because this, I didn't notice any popcorning. This little thing, and like the auger seems to eat it up pretty good. I know on some grinders, which one was it? Oh yeah, the Timemore grinders that are coming out. They look similar actually, just a little more rounded, less square. But the Timemore grinders have a similar design, and they apparently have bad popcorning. I don't know, like I guess it's just the auger design. Dog wants to go outside. I guess it's the auger design that really makes the difference, because I'm pretty sure they have a little pizza topper thing, anti-popcorn thing as well. I'm gonna have to take a look at that again. I have a 078S coming for some reason. I got too many grinders. I mean, it's gonna be a good grinder, I think, but after seasoning at least. Apparently they need seasoning, which is a pain in the butt, but I know where to get some seasoning coffee, so. And also, I'm giving the seasoning coffee away because I think it's acceptable for people that don't, that aren't quite the connoisseur. It's probably better than most grocery store stuff because it's from a high-end roaster. So it's not going to waste, and, I don't mind giving it to someone, and then if they don't like it, they can do what they want with it. But, giving it a chance. All right, I'm gonna let my dog out. Yeah, I like the grinder. Great for the price.